Spawn.
Fresh Kid Z, Fresh Kid C,
Yes, sir.
Fresh Kid P, Fresh Kid T.
Oh yeah, we back.
Oh, and Zafoon, by the way.
Yeah.
Jones. Yeah. Chitty Bang. And we pretty much amazing. Can we hear your new song, please? I got you.
We see them every day. Advertisements. You've probably been bombarded with hundreds of ads from the moment you woke up this morning. In fact, you're most likely looking at some right now on this page. Companies spend an estimated $500 billion per year making sure you know the name of their product, and more importantly, want to buy it and tell your friends about it. Sometimes there is such a flood of advertising that ad agencies pool all of their resources and the best and the brightest minds that they have in an attempt to do something different. The results of this kind of move are usually nothing short of disastrous. But it's okay, because now we get to laugh at their mistakes. Let's look at 5 of the most hilariously bad attempts at marketing in gaming history.
You don't get it, Fisher!
Number 5. Real-life Splinter Cell. It starts out like a well-worn joke. A guy with bandaged, bloody hands who happens to be brandishing a gun walks toward a bar, right? Then he starts threatening to actually start shooting some people, causing everyone to dive under their tables, terrified for their lives. Hilarious, right? Well, someone thought it was a good idea anyway. This is how advertiser Monaco decided to promote Splinter Cell Conviction during its release in 2010. Of course, the gunman was an actor, and the gun was a realistic replica that fooled the patrons, the employees, and even the police. The cops thought the gun was the kind that kills you and didn't get everything sorted out until they showed up with force and got the prop away from the actor. Monaco claimed they hired another company to take care of this particular stunt and weren't aware that guns would be involved. I hear knife attacks go over much better. Number 4. Zynga trashes San Francisco. Imagine you're walking down the street in San Francisco, perhaps off to a nice sushi dinner or heading home from a long day at work. You glance down and see a piece of green paper, and instantly you're thinking of all the things you could buy with $100. Or the Good Samaritans among us are thinking of returning it to the nearest police station. So you stoop down to pick it up, but it's stuck. Some trickster has glued fake money to the ground with the sole intention of making you look silly, and is undoubtedly hiding around some corner laughing at your expense.
What?
Only it's not the toothless act of a prepubescent, but rather a coordinated marketing effort by the crime lord of Facebook gaming, Zynga. The bill is in fact an advertisement for Mafia Wars. The company had glued thousands of pieces of fake money to the sidewalks and streets of San Francisco, trying to spread the word about their popular Mafia game. Call us crazy, but fooling your customers into thinking they've gotten rich, as well as littering all over a major city, doesn't sound like the best way to generate good publicity. Not surprisingly, San Francisco held Zynga responsible for the acts, which they considered illegal vandalism. All worth it for the laughs, right?
Oh, man.
Number 3, THQ encourages vandalism. Normal, well-adjusted people don't walk by cars on the street, peering in the windows to see if there's anything worth stealing. And if there is something worth stealing, most civilized people just walk away, not wanting to take something that isn't theirs or spend lots of time in jail. THQ's marketing department decided that fans of Red Faction Guerrilla were a little bit more deranged than that. THQ tossed a bunch of copies of Guerrilla into a parked car and left a sledgehammer nearby, then hid as they watched to see who would walk by and carry out a crime to get their hands on a video game. Marketers often look at the fictional elements of the product they're promoting and try to find ways to manifest those in the real world, attempting to cause a spectacle and thereby gain some publicity. The trouble is that video games' make-believe gameplay elements, such as smashing cars and causing rampant destruction, don't often translate well into the real world. At least the marketing campaign was a smash hit. Number 2. EA shuts down London neighborhood. Potentially the only entry on this list to start out with a somewhat reasonable premise, this stunt saw EA employees taking over a gas station and offering £20,000 of free gas to residents of North London to promote Mercenaries 2. It sounds pretty good in theory, right? At least they weren't assaulting potential customers with firearms or asking people to do something illegal. Still, trying to recreate the chaos of people fighting and rioting for fuel in Venezuela might have set off a few red flags. Those of us with the foresight lacking in the video game marketing world can see the potential problems right away. As you might have expected, the stunt brought traffic to a smashing halt, blocking up the normally tranquil neighborhood for hours. Residents were completely blocked into their driveways, and car horns blared through the once quiet streets. 4 hours of neighborhood gridlock, a gas station decorated like a military outpost, and a whole lot of unhappy residents. Not the best way to make your company look good in preparation for the launch of a new game. At least the people who were able to get free gas were happy, though the police were not. They had to shut the whole operation down to prevent more chaos from breaking out.
The queue's back down there. Sir, that's all I've got to say to you. That's all I've got to say. Move on.
Number 1. Sony creates fake fans. In a lead-up to the holiday season of December of 2006, Sony thought it would be a good idea to build up some buzz for the company's debut handheld, the PSP. The usual routes: informing potential customers about the features and benefits of the product, letting word of mouth carry the news around schoolyards and offices everywhere, weren't attractive to Sony. So instead, the Japanese hardware company did the next logical thing and faked a PSP fan site, hoping it would go viral. Only this wasn't your typical blog with boring anecdotes of how much its authors and readers liked the product, but an outrageously obvious marketing ploy, complete with its crowning jewel, the All I Want for Christmas is a PSP wrap.
I love the big screen, so fresh and so clean. It's all in my dreams. It makes me want to scream. PSP, 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 PSP.
As if the marketing attempt weren't obvious enough, Sony's marketing agency Zippotoni seemingly didn't realize that website registrations can be looked up with a few clicks. And several sleuths on the Something Awful forums uncovered the whole ploy in record time. With the entire sham completely unraveled, Sony was forced to fess up on the site itself, admitting the 230-somethings running the blog pining for Sony's products were in fact actors. Best of all was the apology. Busted, nailed, snagged. As many of you have figured out, maybe our speech was a little too funky fresh. Peter isn't a real hip-hop maven, and this site was actually developed by Sony. Yes, Sony, we figured it out because your speech was a little too funky fresh.